Welcome to the DoubleACS Daily News. About 500,000 low-income Massachusetts workers who worked throughout the pandemic will soon receive a $500 payment from the state as part of the COVID-19 Essential Employee Premium Pay Program signed into law by Governor Baker in December. The program is funded by the federal government's American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. We spoke with State Senator Paul Feeney to learn more.
You know, the federal government passed the ARPA Act, which was essentially federal money that was coming to the states, going to counties, municipalities all over the country. We had an opportunity based on what the federal government set in place in that ARPA funding to spend some of that money and appropriate it towards what we call premium pay. But essentially it was an opportunity for us to be able to recognize the work that was done through the pandemic by people that went to work every single day. But we joined together, myself and 27 of my colleagues, and we penned a letter right away to the respective chairs of Ways and Means. And we said, you know, this is something that we should be doing here in Massachusetts. This money is coming from the federal government. It's a one-time spend for us to be able to take advantage of. Let's recognize the great work done by so many people that went to work that didn't have the opportunity to work from home, to work safely, over Zoom and through Teams and all sorts of other video platforms. These are people that got up every single day. They went to work, they put themselves in harm's way, they put their family in harm's way. Let's recognize that by spending some of this money on them. So we did that, and we sent a letter to the respective committees. We advocated, we testified, we really shook the trees on the people that were making these decisions within the State House, and we were successful. So really excited to see this come to fruition now. I was clear, and many of my colleagues were clear when we were leading on this issue to say, we want to open this up to as many people as possible that actually worked during the pandemic. So there was debate back and forth in, well, how do you do that? We have limited resources. It was a significant amount of money. But even with $500 million, which is what the total appropriation ended up being, we knew that there had to be some sort of threshold. There had to be some sort of cutoff. So this first round of funding, what they did is they looked at 300% of the federal poverty level. And one of the thresholds is that you had to have worked. So these aren't people that were collecting unemployment. They filed tax returns, they were receiving income, and they worked during 2020, during the pandemic. If 300% of the federal poverty level, understanding that the federal poverty level right now is pretty low, not really reflective of what it takes to earn a living wage here in Massachusetts. But right now, if you earn $38,000 and you are a single filer, you would be receiving this $500 check from the Commonwealth. Above that, it's a graduated kind of increase from there. So, if a family of two, you're right at about $51,000, and then it just escalates from there. So, again, it wasn't perfect, but we just wanted to make sure that this was going to the people that could use it the most, and the folks that probably struggled the most during a pandemic. There is kind of a tipping point where you say, if you go more than $500, then you're going to have less people that are going to be able to get it, right? It's a finite amount of money that we're able to spend. I think from our perspective, we would have liked to see a little bit more in the way of the check. But again, realizing that less people would have the advantage of getting that money. So again, it's not life-changing money, but it is a nice little stimulus for people, and it's a recognition of people that worked hard during a pandemic. Half of that money still exists, and there's going to be further discussion now, hopefully over the next few months before we get to the end of our session, to look at industry-specific workers. Are we capturing all those people, again, who drove a bus, those people who worked in grocery stores? Maybe they were just a little bit or a tick over 300% of the federal poverty level, but they should still receive some appropriation from this. So, the important piece is this is the first step. It's certainly not perfect by any stretch. I'm excited that we are, at least in Massachusetts, able to lead on this, make a $500 million commitment to working people. But again, there's going to be some discussion in the next few months about who's going to get the next round of checks. And the other thing to know about this too is that there's nothing for anybody to do. If they made money, they filed their income taxes from that year. As long as they meet the thresholds, they'll receive a check in the mail. There's nothing for them. They don't have to go on and fight through a portal or sit online for hours and hours trying to get the check mailed to them.